Hello and welcome to Restoring Our American Republic. I'm Chuck Benoit with The Nature of Things, where we are realigning God, government, and natural law so that we might restore our American Republic. Well, it's Tuesday, March 3rd, in the year of our Lord 2026. Is anything in the world the same since the last time we were on the air Thursday, February 26th, in the year of our Lord 2026, only 5 days ago? Well, let's talk about it. Welcome, Mr. Levine.
Chuck, I think I'm watching too much War Room.
Yeah, I did
I
sound a
don't know if
little
that's
bit.
even possible. In the way the world is today, I don't think it's possible to watch too much War Room. Okay. I mean, it's amazing because, I'm geeking out over here, Chuck. I mean, honestly and truly, the idea that on Friday night at 1 o'clock in the morning, our time, 9 o'clock in the morning in Iran, the United States and Israel launched joint military campaigns to take out the military capability of a major military power in the world, Iran, Chuck. And I would love to know what Xi Jinping thinks about that. I would love to be inside of that guy's head, right? Like, wow, what is this Donald Trump guy doing, man? Right? I
Yeah.
thought I was bold, right? Tinkering around with his rare earths mineral supply, right? Oh, what a bold move that is. How about this? We're just going to shut off your oil supply to Venezuela and Iran, China. What do you think about that?
Yeah, there you go.
Woo!
Well,
This is
when you talk
amazing.
about taking people out in their bedroom, I'm just wondering about Kim Jong Un. It's like how safe is he right now?
Well, it's so funny, right? Because the Iranian military leadership team didn't really think they had anything to worry about. They had a big meeting in the same location where they always have their meetings of the same day at the same time, right? We knocked out Israel, took out 40 of them with one freaking attack, right? I mean, it's just shocking. And you can go back, Chuck, if you really want to get into this, right? And you can just talk about political correctness, right? Oh, we're not allowed to think about that, right? We're not allowed to have those thoughts, and we're not allowed to entertain these possible action plans. And you can take this not only from a macro standpoint, but micro. Look at your own life and ask yourself, what if I think outside of the box? What are my actual opportunities if I think outside of the box? Right? Because we don't do that. And I could give you 1,000 examples. Maybe we should do a show on it, right? Because it's really frustrating in my life when I deal with these grassroots organizations, Chuck, and they refuse to think out of the box. We're going to always do what we've always done. And you know what that means, Chuck? It
They'll
means we're
always
always
get.
going to lose like we always have lost
We're always going
because
to
what
get
we're doing
exactly
isn't
what.
working,
Yeah.
Chuck.
Yeah.
So get us to the next level here.
Okay. Well, I guess what we're going to be talking about primarily is how does this attack on Iran affect the rest of the world? That might be an interesting place to start. Uh,
Uh, yeah.
maybe
Okay. We can start there.
for our first bullet point, we might say that it provides an opportunity to eliminate the number one state sponsor of terror in the world.
That's the obvious, right? But I will tell you, Chuck, that I've seen Megyn Kelly come out scolding President Trump and supporting her friend Tucker Carlson, who, and just for the record, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not sure that I agree that striking Iran was the right thing to do. I haven't made up my mind. Donald Trump didn't call me. Okay.
No?
No, he didn't call me, right? So I'm not settled into the idea. I mean, there's a lot of great things that could possibly come from this, but there's a lot of really bad things can come from it too. And we just really don't know what's going to happen here. Nobody knows. As the military people will tell you, and again, it's been said time after time after time in many, many interviews of military people that you never know what's going to happen when you go into the war. As soon as you throw the first punch, You take a punch in the face, you have no idea what's going to happen after that. So nobody knows. Donald Trump doesn't know. The Iranian leadership is gone.
There you
So they're
go.
down. And of course, we can get into that whole conversation about how the Iranians master planned this out just in case something like this happened, that they've already put, chain of command down into the lower lieutenants and everything, just in case their entire management team gets blown out, which has happened, right? So that's a big part of the response, from Iran, striking their neighbors who should be their friends, Chuck, right? I mean, striking Bahrain, the United Arab Emirates, Qatar, Kuwait, Chuck, shot down two Iranian airplanes. Kuwait shot down two Iranian fighter jets, Chuck. Okay. So the whole Middle East, who's supporting Iran? No one.
Nobody.
Now, is China and Russia having backroom meetings on how they're going to respond to this initiative against Iran? They are. How could they not? Donald Trump took out China's oil supply from Venezuela and now has the potential to take out their oil supply from Iran. If you think that doesn't cripple China, you're not paying attention. Okay, so this is huge news, Chuck. How does it affect the world? So the idea that we're taking out the world's number one state sponsor of terror is the obvious. And this is what I'm saying to you about all these pundits. And I'm shocked, to be honest with you, that that's what we're hearing from people like Megyn Kelly. And, Tucker, to his credit, has gone deeper on this. He interviewed Mike Huckabee for 2 hours and 20 minutes, which I watched the entire 2 hour, 20-minute interview. But at least Tucker is going down deep into his rabbit hole, right? Which, I'm a Zionist, Chuck. I don't agree with Tucker on this. I'm America first. I'm not Israel first. And then, of course, Marco Rubio came out over the weekend saying that we struck Iran because we knew that Israel was going to strike Iran. And if Israel struck Iran, then Iran would retaliate against us. So basically, and I would say rightfully so, as Megyn Kelly pointed out, is this the tail wagging the dog? Is this Israel establishing the United States foreign policy? And that's a valid argument. Okay, I agree with that. The idea that, anyways, we don't want to drill down. We'll never get through all this stuff we have today if we don't move on from that. But certainly eliminating the number one state sponsor of terror is the obvious
Yeah, yeah, obviously.
conclusion.
The thing about Israel and Iran, the whole Middle East, is Israel is, the where we get our information. I mean, they have got that area so stinking filled with spies and all. They're the eyes and ears of America over there. So the idea that Israel would say to America, guess what? All of these people are going to be in this particular place at their regular meeting, and if you want to take out the entire top of the Iranian organization, just blow them up. I mean, that could be, you could say that that's the tail wagging the dog, but it also could be the fact that our ally, Israel, they're the people that know what's going on over there. I mean, why wouldn't we?
Well, it is interesting, Chuck, because it's being said on the internet that we provided Israel with that intel. Now,
well, I
we
mean,
can
I'm hearing the
debate that
opposite,
back
but
and forth. I mean, obviously, I don't disagree with anything you said, but the CIA has pretty deep roots into Iran as well. That's my point. And we don't have a clue, Chuck. You and I don't have a clue, right? I mean, this stuff is so secret, so deep, and for generations too. Another point that came out a lot on the internet, well, not a lot, but a key point was that this has been in the war game scenarios for a very long time, not a week, not a year, not 2 years, not in Donald Trump's first term, but even before Donald Trump's first term, we've been wargaming how to take out Iran. So this is a lot of this is not new. It's just a matter, as again, if you want to, I mean, for me personally, I embrace the opportunity of a more peaceful, prosperous world. And without leaders like Donald Trump, you'll never have that because we all stay in our little politically correct box and we're afraid to do this and we're afraid to do that. Um, so, again, is it dangerous? Yes, it's dangerous. Is there fallout? Yes. Are we seeing, um, we had the shooting in Austin, which is, I would suggest, a direct result of the strike on Iran. So are we going to pay a price? Yeah, we're going to pay a price. The question becomes, and there's no way to say is the loss of a human life worth it? Okay, because losing human life is the most precious resource in the universe, in my point of view. Okay, so I'm never going to say it's worth it, right?
Well,
Um,
the real question,
but
I
there's
think,
cost to everything.
the thing that Donald Trump is changing, and this, in my estimation, is a very, very important concept, and that is the quote unquote peace in the world has been based on who has the most nukes, who is who is willing to fight whom, and when you look at how many wars President Trump has ended, you begin to realize, okay, wait a second, how are we stopping global conflict? And the answer to that is economics. And so instead of having a world based on who has the most amount of firepower, you make peace in the world by deciding, well, who are the best people to work with in order to prosper your economy. It's a complete transformation in global understandings of what would create world peace. And Donald Trump is proving himself correct in utilizing economics for world peace. And Iran, as far as I'm concerned, is a major target. We get rid of Iran, we get rid of the world's number one foe that can attack as a nation, but also attack with these little sleeper cells or these smaller organizations that they've got all over the world. What say you, Mr. Levine?
As you said in your open, Chuck, when you take out Iran, if you can give the nation state of Iran to the Iranian people and let them run a secular Iran, you have changed the trajectory of world history
You have.
indefinitely, for the rest of time. Okay, you have completely reshaped the world, and it goes back into the point you just made about the economics of the world. Think about, and again, Megyn Kelly pointed out that we are losing soldiers for another country. These six military casualties did not die for America, according to Megyn Kelly. They died for either Iran or Israel. So Megyn Kelly said, Americans should never die for another country. American soldiers should die for America, not for another country. And I think that's a little short-sighted, Chuck,
Well,
myself.
it also it flies in the face of reality because if you go back to the last time any Americans have died in a war, you'd have to go back, I don't know, to the Revolutionary War. I mean, almost every other war we've been in is for somebody else. Of course, I'll go to the what's the first war that we're at? The war of the well, it was war against Islam. That was our first war, the barbarian war, the war of the barbarians. There, I forget the name of it, but that was the first war that
Oh, I
we
thought that
fought.
was Congress, Chuck.
Yeah,
The War of the Barbarians
the
happens in Congress.
Barbary Pirates War. That's what it was. I knew it would take
There
me a
you go,
little while,
Barbary
but
Pirates War.
yeah,
All right.
that's where the Marines got their nickname Leathernecks because they had to wear leather collars because even back then the Muslims who just love to cut people's heads off. But yeah,
Exactly.
that was about the only other
I
war that
remember
we
that.
fought for ourselves. Every other war, World War One, World War Two, Vietnam War, Korean War. I mean, when were our blood and treasure lost for us other than that? And
Okay,
I
let's
get
move
it, but
on.
the
Yeah, I
transformation,
agree.
the transformation, Mike, of world peace established by economics is really where Donald Trump is taking us. And it is genuinely the only strong alternative to world peace based on war.
Okay, Chuck, that's point number one.
So, yeah, well, we managed to squeeze China's energy supply chain into there somewhere along the line. We've talked
All
about
right,
that.
let's
So
just
let's
move through
look.
the list and see if we can
Yeah,
see how
sure.
much of this we can cover.
Another point we have is the opportunity to expand the Abraham Accords in the Middle East. So I'm going to let you opine on that, Mr. Levine.
Well, everybody in the Middle East seems to be pretty happy about what's going on. They didn't like the United Arab Emirates didn't like the Iranians shooting missiles at hotels, and the world can't really understand why Iran would strike out against civilians, but that's just the nature of the beast. That's kind of the conclusion that the Middle Eastern countries have come to is that, Iran doesn't limit their responses to military targets, and you can get into, the rules of war and all that kind of stuff. But I promise you that the Iranian strike on the hotel in the United Arab Emirates didn't make the UAE a better friend, didn't make the Emirates a better friend. And of course, we have a base in Qatar, so we can, talk about that. But then you have, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia wants to get their own fighter jets into the mix here, Chuck.
Yeah,
Saudi Arabia wants to fly sorties into Iran.
yeah,
So what does that say about them, right?
yeah,
So Jordan, all of them, I mean, so I don't see Iran having a lot of friends here. So again, when the enemy of your enemy is your friend, that means that Israel and the United States have a lot of friends in the Middle East today, and
all,
Iran doesn't.
all of a sudden.
So, that's that. I think the Abraham Accords, this is going to be a no-brainer, and it's really going to open up Israeli innovation, which they will gladly share with their neighbors when they're allowed to participate in the economic strategic planning of the Middle East, Chuck. How is that not a good thing? Now, granted, I don't want to take away the element of risk. There's a lot of risk. China could respond. Russia could respond. There could be breakouts of riots all over Europe. There can be breakouts of riots all over the United States. We got the cartels in Mexico bound to these people. That could be really bad. I'm not trying to minimize the risk. But now that we're in it, you can't go back. So let's look at the upside, Chuck.
Yeah, well, and you did bring up the idea of changing the dynamics of Israel as a partner in the Middle East. And I think what you're talking about there as a partner to other Muslim countries in the Middle East. Am I correct?
When you say other Muslim countries, obviously Israel is not a Islamic
Other,
Muslim
I
country.
mean, other than Iran, I guess. Um,
Okay,
yeah,
so there you go. So long story short, let's just reduce that to becoming more secular in nature. Because, a lot of people, I mean, Tucker Carlson himself argues whether or not the secular government of Israel is the same set of people that are the chosen people of God. He's saying, are the people running the state of Israel actually the chosen people of God? He asked that to Mike Huckabee in the 2 hour and 20-minute interview, which of course, Mike Huckabee is a theologian pastor, right? So Huckabee has interesting responses to all that. And there's a lot more to that we're not going to cover today. But so basically, and I would agree that, while Israel does demonstrate many characteristics of Judaism, they are also demonstrate a lot of characteristics of a secular government. So if all the other countries, like for example, I saw a pastor on one of the shows over the weekend stating that his hope would be for Iran and for the Middle East that freedom of religion would become the norm in Iran and people can choose their own religion, like similar to what we do here in the United States. And I think that's a reasonable prayer, Chuck.
Yeah, I think I get what you're trying to get at there, but so let's go, move along because our time is kind of slipping away from us. One of the next comments we wanted is that it removes key Russian allies and the effect that that would have on the war in Ukraine. Why don't you opine on that?
Yeah, sure. So everybody knows, hopefully, that Iran and Russia strategize on uh, global military strategy all the time. And if nothing more than Iran being a threat to its neighbors in the region, not to mention the United States. I mean, we're the big Satan, Israel's the little Satan, right? That's according to them. I mean, there are pictures of the Israeli um, leadership burning American flags in policy meetings. Okay. So the idea, I mean, if anybody that thinks that um, improving relations between Iran and the United States is not detrimental for Russia needs to take a look and study that relationship a little bit more. Because keep in mind, perception is everything, Chuck. So again, look how, I mean, what is the definition of terror? How has Iran terrorized the entire world? And of course, that happens in a lot of ways. Obviously, it happens, through their surrogates around the world, et cetera, in actual violence, but just the threat of violence is a major influencer of what happens in the world. So if we can, if well, I say we, if Iran is given over to the Iranian people, and there's a transition period. And at the end of the transition period, there are free and fair elections, okay, that's a point that's not even on our list that we must talk about if we can get to it, Chuck. Free and fair elections in Iran, then you're going to find, I believe that at the end of that process, you're going to find an Iran that is much more favorable to the United States, Chuck.
There you go. Well, yeah, you brought it up. It's the next topic on our to-do list here. Because again, maybe someone has kind of jumped in the middle of our podcast here. The question we've asked is, how does the attack on Iran affect the world? And we are certainly part of the world, and it does focus American adversaries on the domestic United States of America. We've seen an attack already in Texas, but also, we do have the election processes of 2026 that we strongly have information that our 2020 election was affected by global transferring of our election numbers to other nations. We might get into Maria Zack and where she's all about, what she's been talking about for several years now. But the election process of 2026, Mike, what say you?
Well, at the end of the day, if our adversaries don't find it practical to take us on militarily, then they will do what they've been doing for so long as they have corrupted our country through our education system, our university system, through uh, DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion programs, and all the other ridiculousness that this country has experienced over the last 50 years because we've sold our souls to foreign lobbyists, then if they're not going to take us on militarily, then they will just ramp up. And of course, militarily could be sleeper cells in the United States, et cetera. So there, a lot of ways they can hurt us. And then you go back, and for example, it's amazing now that we have entered into this military conflict in Iran. People are actually saying, I think this has been floating around the Beltway in Washington, D.C. for longer than I'm aware of it. But I think that people are talking about the Trump administration declaring this a national emergency and then forcing or influencing states to hold the 2026 elections by paper ballots, hand counted in the precincts, proof of citizenship required, etc. And that is all over the place now, Chuck. So you and I started talking about this yesterday, and since yesterday, more and more of these political pundits are talking about that, which is great for our movement because we believe that the machines are corrupt and hackable and have been hacked. And again, as anyone who hasn't seen Maria Zach's video about the Leonardo, which is a Italian intelligence agency cooperating with other countries and non-governmental organizations around the world to steal the 2020 election, needs to go to Rumble and then search for Nations in Action and then watch Maria Zach's testimony to an Italian court alleging that she has shared information with our FBI, Kash Patel, with our Department of Justice, Pam Bondi, and with our Department of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard. And Maria Zach has actually um, testified in the form of what the FBI calls a 302 form, which is a witness testimony form, and testified about many of the um, theories that have been floated about the Leonardo system and their international global satellites literally uploading votes from US voting machines to through Leonardo. And she actually has affidavits from Italians who say they were fine switching the votes in other countries, but they got really uncomfortable when they were asked to flip votes in the United States of America. And these people are ready to testify. People have been killed. People have been attacked, physically assaulted, coerced in many physical harmful ways and other ways um, to keep this quiet. And Maria Zach is now on the record stating that she has hard evidence that the Leonardo intelligence agency in Italy was involved and that the prime minister of Italy is aware of it. And many American heads of state are aware of it. And she is actually calling for these individuals to testify in her case in Italy. She is criminally charged in Italy. And this video that I'm referring to is her testimony to the Italian courts, which is obviously, her official statement before she actually appears in Italy to go to court, Chuck. And then you have something to comment on before we move on to Brian Kennedy?
Well, we're actually out of time. We might want to make. Why don't
All
you
right,
give
there
me
you
a
go.
give? Yeah, and John Holden has asked us a question about Maria Zach. No, she is running for office, but she is not an elected official at this
Maria
moment.
Zach is not currently running for office.
Oh,
Maria Zach ran for a Florida House seat when the Democrat in the Palm Beach County area passed away. But she is not a candidate at the moment.
Okay, okay. My apologies. Well, Mike, why don't you just give us a final wrap?
Well, on this subject about the elections, Chuck, I would just like to say that nobody's interested in providing election processes in Florida or any other state for that matter that we know for sure are 100% reliable. But now, when we get into a global situation where we're afraid that foreign actors could influence our national elections like they did in 2020, all of a sudden, these hand counting paper ballots in the precincts and voter ID becomes much more practical in the minds of the decision makers. So I think every decision we make should carry that level of importance as we every decision that we make. How does this impact the integrity? And I don't like the word voter integrity. I prefer voter election reform to election integrity, but that's just my own personal preference. But government integrity is the cornerstone of a successful government. So I'm for integrity in every step, every phase of government. And of course, Maria Zack is a good one to talk about that because she has a program called Good Governance Guarantee that actually would straighten out most of the world's problems, Chuck. And I'll just close on that note.
Well, thank you, Mr. Levine, for that. And we may possibly have to come back to this issue on our Thursday broadcast. So keep tuning in, ladies and gentlemen. And Lord, we do thank you all for tuning into our twice weekly live stream. Please follow us on Facebook at Restoring Our American Republic, or check us out on YouTube at Restoring Our American Republic -RORR. Please like and share our program. And remember, if you're unwilling to govern yourself, you will be governed by tyrants. Until next time, God bless you. God bless President Donald J. Trump. And God bless America.